What happens when the future of your accounting firm refuses to be bullied? What am I talking about? Gen Z. They're here, they're qualified, they talk, and they're not afraid to walk. We've done episodes on Gen Z before. These are the people born 2000 onwards. They're 25, they're hitting 30 now. They're the next generation of the firm coming through. And millennials come after them. We've got the boomers, the Gen Xers. They're all in the mix. But generally, the leadership, the partners in firms are the boomers, possibly the Gen Xers. We've seen, and they've seen what the boomers and Gen Xers have put up with, the burnout, the micromanagement, the late night emails, the be grateful that you've got a job culture, and they're not falling for this anymore. They're saying no thanks. So I want to do an episode about this because you might be a Gen Z, whatever country you're in, and you're folding into the hierarchy of an accounting firm. This is the Accounting Influencers Podcast. I'm Rob Brown, and this show is all about helping you be more influential, more effective in your role in accounting practice. And it's about building your reputation, your authority, and knowing what's going on, knowing what the trends are, knowing what the politics are, and being able to navigate those so you can be more effective in your leadership role. Now, you may be a boomer Gen Xer. You probably are. A lot of people that watch this show, listen to this show, they're in that older bracket, and you've got to be a better leader. And you're probably doing all of these things. I'm speaking to the minority, I know, but this is to call out toxic behavior amongst partners that's pushing your youngest and brightest talent out of the door. So I'm going to go over what you need to do to instead build a culture that people will stay for. And if you are doing this well, then you can tick these things off saying, done, we're doing that, everything is going great. Because we've got to get one thing straight. This is not about Gen Z going soft. There's a lot of hype in the media about the snowflake generation and these people that can't hold down a job. I saw something recently about Gen Z's not being able to pick up the phone. They struggled in the COVID era to communicate. We had social isolation and people struggled with making a phone call. This is more about them being smart and not tolerant of bull. So they're choosing mental health over martyrdom. That's your soundbite. They're choosing culture over compensation. That's another soundbite. And when you've grown up watching entire industries collapse, which has happened in recessions and throughout the pandemic, you see mental health becoming normalized. The biggest cause of death for men in the UK under 50 is suicide. And I'm sure it's not that different in the US as well, where our two biggest markets for this podcast are. And hearing your older colleagues talk about surviving busy season like it's a badge of honor, they do start questioning the system, and rightly so. So we're going to talk about why Gen Z won't tolerate this stuff and why that matters to you and your firm. So toxic trait number one, I'm sure it's not you, but you will recognize it in your firm. Micromanagement masked as standards. So this isn't about not caring. Gen Z want to deliver great work. They get a culture of excellence. They understand that, but they can't move without every move being questioned, every step being scrutinized, if they're having to second guess everything, if there's no room for autonomy, flexibility, creative thinking, innovation, suggesting new ideas, giving open feedback, they're out. So that's micromanagement masked as standards, toxic trait number one. Number two is presenteeism culture. If you're still a firm that celebrates who's in the office longest, whether it's by tenure, we've been in here 30, 40 years. The Gen Zs don't want a long career anymore. They want satisfying work. They're not thinking beyond 10, 20, 30 years. They're not playing the long-term game like you. So if you celebrate who's in the office longest by tenure, that's a problem. If it's who arrived first and left latest, that's another problem because you're bleeding talent. Gen Z doesn't care that you've been in for 10 hours or you did it for 20 years. They care that it's pointless or it's got purpose. Toxic trait number three is public takedowns. I'm a former high school math teacher and we would tell kids off in public because we knew it worked. Nobody wants the shame of being told off in front of all of your peers. But you wouldn't think it would happen in the workplace, but it does. I hear stories about it constantly. And you're probably still seeing partners who will humiliate staff in front of others, or it could be some microaggressions or passive aggression in front of others, shaming, shouting, sarcastically putting people down. It's not leadership. It's laziness. It's ego. It's arrogance. And the message is clear to your people. This is not a safe place to grow. Toxic trait number four. Lack of flexibility. 4 days in the office with no flexibility or no clear reason. If you're not being honest about why you want people back in the office, which may well be that you've got expensive commercial real estate that you want to fill, it's certainly not control. You wouldn't say that. Or is it? You're going to be honest about that. Is it about productivity? Because we've shown that productivity can be higher when people are working remotely. Is it about culture? It could be, but many firms have developed a great culture with a hybrid workforce. So you've got to be really honest. If you want people 4 days in the office and you're giving them no flexibility, you're making them commute back in, there's no clear reason, that's not culture, that's control. Gen Z are going to take their laptops and work for someone else. may even work for themselves. Toxic trait number 5, zero transparency, and read into that lack of accountability. Gen Z, they love clarity. They want clarity on career progression, on expectations of their work, on what it takes to make partner. If your promotion system is a mystery or a lottery and feedback is a yearly tick box, they're going to find a firm that communicates like adults. Here's the killer with all of this. It's not just Gen Z that's not going to tolerate this kind of stuff. They don't need to, because there's a shortage of accountants, talent has options, and the best people, they're out there. They're talking, they're reviewing your firm on Glassdoor, they're sharing screenshots on Reddit, they're telling their friends in other firms who the toxic people are. But it's not just Gen Z, it's people throughout. That I know boomers bullied by boomers. I know Gen X's that are bullied by bosses. You've heard the story, haven't you? People don't leave a bad workplace, they'll leave a bad culture, they'll certainly leave a bad boss. So these people have options, and you can't hide anymore getting away with bullying and toxic behavior. Everyone's a whistleblower these days. Everyone has a camera on their phone, a recording element. Everyone has a platform to tell the world what you're doing. So what do? Well, here's the application here. You train your leaders, you coach your partners, you fix wrong behaviors. And it's often more individuals than the culture across a whole firm, but a few individuals, particularly if they're partners and they're influential in the firm, they may be setting culture inadvertently. So you've got to create a safe, inclusive, flexible culture, and you measure performance by output, not input. You give meaningful feedback, you solicit meaningful feedback from them, and you actually act on their feedback. That's important. People want to be heard and know that their voice makes a difference. You build a firm that deserves great talent and not one that just demands loyalty and obedience. That's where you get success. And yeah, it takes work. Culture stuff always does. The softer stuff does. The behavioral stuff does. You can mandate for technical skills and quality of work. You cannot mandate for people being nice and agreeable and caring and loving other people and looking out for them and building them up. You've got to work on that. And if you don't fix it, you're not just going to lose Gen Z, you're going to lose the whole culture and future of your firm. And in the days where firms are buying up firms and private equity are buying up firms and seems everyone's selling and merging and acquiring, you've got to be competitive, not just with the numbers on your financial reports, but you've got to be competitive with your culture and your team and your people. And just a quick note for the tech vendors, software providers out there, if you resonate with messages like this and you are on the good side of accounting, you want to be a force for good, you can partner with us as a show. And it's a fantastic way to promote your solutions to an engaged global accounting audience that we have here at Accounting Influencers. And remember, podcasts have a long shelf life. I'm going to do an episode on podcasts in the accounting space soon. So your message could keep reaching people for months and even years. So check out the show notes, reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want to get involved in sponsoring, partnering with this show. So when it comes to nurturing the next generation of a talent, the bottom line is this: culture is not a nice to have, it's a strategy. It's a vital strategy. Gen Z isn't the problem. Let's not be blaming things on them. They're just not willing to put up with your issues, your behaviors. So I'm going to give you 7 quick takeaways to finish this episode of the Accounting Influencers podcast, which, as you are a regular listener, will know equips accounting professionals with the knowledge and skills you need to lead better and be more influential in your role. 7 takeaways. Number 1, Gen Z will not tolerate old school partner behavior. Number 2, Gen Z prioritize mental health, transparency, flexibility. It's in their DNA. Number 3, presenteeism, micromanagement, culture killers. Don't go down that road. Number 4, firms have got to train partners and leaders on emotional intelligence, just looking after people. Number 5, bad behavior has got to be called out and corrected fast. And if it's being called out in your firm, do something about it, correct it fast. Number 6, feedback's got to be in real time. It can't be annual feedback and annual performance review. It can't be generic either. Doing a good job, it's not enough. Number 7, firms that ignore all of this are just going to keep bleeding talent. People might stay for a while, but I promise you they'll be soliciting approaches from recruitment consultants on LinkedIn. They will be talking to their peers. They will be secretly taking interviews, brushing up their resume. They won't stay for too long. So I will see you on the next episode of the Accounting Influencers podcast. And if you're listening rather than watching, remember all of our shows are on the Accounting Influencers YouTube channel. Next week, we're going to look at burnout. Is it really a thing, or are accountants moaning too much about deadlines, busy season, or workloads? And a final note for you, if you're pressed for time but still want to build your own personal brand, I've got another show coming up on why personal brands are more important than company and firm and corporate brands. I can help you with creating a lot of opinion pieces and thought leadership pieces and video pieces fast by taking out the heavy lifting for you. Essentially, I interview you once a month for 30-40 minutes, and my team turns those conversations into LinkedIn posts and articles and videos for your marketing. It's a great way to stay visible and vocal without sacrificing too much time. So reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want to have a conversation there, and I'll see you on the next episode.